Hello everyone, welcome to episode 51 of The DIG. Big show coming up. We're talking with the dynamic duo from Railveyor, the new CEO Jim Hawkins and Executive Chairman Jim Fisk. And we'll cover off the biggest stories hitting the headlines in our 6 and 60. Railveyor is revolutionizing mine haulage. But for most people that follow this company, they see the innovative approach as a solution for underground operations. But what about open pit operations? Let's find out. But first, it's time for our 6 and 60. Grupo Mexico makes the grade, with 2 operations being added to the copper mark, a framework for promoting responsible production of copper. Will supply chains improve or worsen? Panjiva stated that we are at a tipping point, and the Lunar New Year holidays should tell us where we are headed. Not in our backyard. The Serbian town of Loznica voted against development of Rio Tinto's $2.4 billion Jadar lithium project. Plan B it is. Following its failed bid of Noront Resources, BHP announced it is investing up to $90 million in the Kambanga nickel project in Tanzania. Over in Australia, BHP plans to roll out autonomous haulage at the South Flank iron ore operation in June. And finally, despite the rise of cryptocurrencies, Bloomberg reported Barrick CEO Mark Bristow sees gold prices holding steady or rising due to its role as a hedge against inflation. And that is our 6 and 60. Let's start with James. James, what can tell us what the Railveyor solution is?
Sure. So Railveyor is a fully electric, totally autonomous material handling solution that offers exceptionally low operating expense and is extremely flexible. Let's talk about each of those a little bit. It's fully electric. So Railveyor utilizes electric motors at drive stations placed along the rail that get their power from a stationary power plant. So our customers can hook into the electric grid as it may exist in their location, or they can set up a solar array or a wind farm or a hydrogen fuel cell and plug into that energy source to power the system. So that's the first thing, is it's fully electric. It's also totally autonomous. Once we've installed Railveyor at a mine site and we've programmed it, it operates without human intervention. And in fact, in most places where we have installed the technology, it's added to the responsibilities of, say, a crusher operator or someone in a processing plant to monitor the system over time. But it requires no intervention during the normal operation cycle at a mine site. Now, because the system utilizes rail, so we have steel wheels rolling on a greased steel track, it has exceptionally low rolling resistance, so it makes very efficient use of the energy. It also has a very low weight to payload ratio. The trains that we load into the rail car get their motive power from these fixed drive stations. So you're only having to move or put energy into the train to move the payload and the little bit of weight that we have for the rail cars. So because it makes very efficient use of the energy, extremely low operating expense. It also has very low maintenance costs associated with it. There are very few wear parts on a Railveyor system. And those that we do have are very easy and very inexpensive to replace. And lastly, it's flexible. Whereas most people will think of a rail system as requiring a lot of civil and earthwork to create a level grade and a heavy bed upon which to build a rail. If you can drive a pickup truck or a light vehicle on a surface, you can lay Railveyor on it. We can lay over grade, requiring only a couple centimeters of crushed stone upon which to put that bed, and we can pick it up and move it as the mine changes over time. So again, fully electric, totally autonomous, exceptionally low operating expense, and very flexible.
Okay, well, that's a great summary of the solution. And I'm always curious. And Jim, you're the founder of Railveyor. How did you come up with this solution? What sparked the innovative process here?
Well, I'd love to be the founder, but it actually existed before I became part of Railveyor. I was invited by the Laminin family to come to Sudbury and look at their test site. The father had passed away, and the children wanted to have someone that knew something about heavy rail. And having spent 44 years in heavy rail around the world, I came around the corner in a pickup truck and saw this thing going up a 22% gradient. And my first reaction is that's not possible. And then once I got over that and started doing energy calculations, I had never seen anything as efficient as this was at moving bulk material over grade and over distance. So that was the hook. And it took a few years to get it from that concept to production model. But once we achieved production model, from there it just became quite frankly, it proved it was much safer because there were no people. It was fully automated. We are most energy efficient system out there, bar none. Okay. And it had the flexibility. We could just pick it up and move it if you didn't want it there that day. So to me, it was the right trifecta. It hit all the right buttons to help, quite frankly, the mining industry out in ways they've never been helped before.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't realize it was something that you had kind of brought you had been asked to kind of take a look and take it to the next level. So that's an interesting fact. If we can go back to James, you mentioned some of the benefits already. And I've seen some of the numbers. They're pretty astounding. Almost, I think sometimes people find it hard to almost appreciate the benefits that you provide in some of those numbers. So, and in talking, when we start talking about some of the trends that we're seeing, the benefits of trying to decarbonize operations and stuff like that, it seems like you're starting to hit a sweet spot for this, and you've got a safe and very productive solution. So what other benefits do you want to touch on there?
Well, let's go back to safety to start. By eliminating people from material handling operations, we can greatly enhance the safety of those mining operations. And as you do that, you also improve the consistency of those operations, as the Railveyor system will do what you tell it for as long as you tell it to operate. We mentioned the operating costs. I did mention that the numbers, of course, it's different for different operations, but Railveyor will move material literally for pennies per ton per kilometer, which is typically an order of magnitude lower than any other kind of material handling system which mining companies have access. As we're electric, we can plug in anything, but the benefit is it requires no development. That technology exists today with Railveyor. You simply plug into whatever that green energy source might be. We don't have to distribute fuel cells or batteries across the operation. We simply can plug in to whatever that green energy source can be. Another environmental benefit that is kind of overlooked at this point is the reduction in water usage. Railveyor doesn't generate dust in its operation. And furthermore, while most of the installations today are underground, if we think about surface applications, and you think about the water usage and machinery required to maintain haul roads, we eliminate the need for any of that with this kind of technology. Last but not least, it's extremely quiet. Railveyor, generates about 70 dB of noise at 100 feet, and that is exceptionally quiet. That's just to put that in perspective. That's like cruising down the highway in a Mercedes. So it's a very quiet system. So low OpEx, technology available today to plug into any green energy source, reduced water, reduced noise, and of course, with all of it, enhanced safety and consistency.
Right. Wow, that's those are impressive benefits. But if I can maybe go back to Jim here, we know this industry is famous for being first to be second. There's always a hesitancy for adopting things. What would you want to be able to say to companies that might be sitting on the fence here, or looking at the numbers but still not really appreciating not sure whether they can, how do I say, buy into it, if you will.
Well, for starters, they want to be first to be second. They'd have to do that quite a while ago. Right now, I think they'd have to work hard to be first to be eighth, and next year will be 10th and 12th, et cetera, et cetera. So they are starting to adopt. And I've heard the first to be second, probably 1,000 times in the mining industry. Okay. If I had a really serious inferiority complex, I've had people tell me, if it's that good, somebody else would have thought of it, which means they think I'm stupid or something. I don't know. So he surely couldn't have come up with this. There had to be a smarter guy than him. That's for damn sure. So what they are is they're overcoming the fear of change. What's driving a lot of that behavior now, as we see it, is every company, all miners, becoming focused on ESG, so they can quite frankly, get the permits they need to do and perform in a way that's environmentally conscious. I did not see that 10 years ago. Matter of fact, 10 years ago, no one even, if you would have said ESG in a room, I think everybody stared at each other, what are they talking about? But right now, that's becoming primary focus for it. And Railveyor is a unique situation. We don't have to go invent a new battery, because we don't have one. We don't have to go create charging stations. We don't have to create overhead or catenary. We don't have to do any of that stuff that I know the industry is working hard on, and that probably is for good reason. But we don't need any of that. We drop it down. We got a bunch of dry stations with semi-truck tires on them, and run the train kind of like a Hot Wheels set, and away you go. It all exists. It's all current technology. It's all automated. There are no people involved. We actually don't want any people involved. The system works really good with the computer. It don't work so good when you try to run it by yourself. So it's positioned for it. To tick all the boxes for ESG, we believe we have the ability to do that and do that now. And we can do it all while still going around the corner. Which, as you guys know, conveyors are always brought up. They don't do curves so good. We can do curves down to 15 meters now. So it's getting pretty tight. So, but that's as we see it. So hopefully the mining industry will continue to still adopt change and embrace it, because to get to the environmental goals that all of the CEOs have put out there, they're going to have to embrace it. And the carbon tax is coming. And as it comes, it will change the economics of their mines, and quite frankly, the economics of our daily life, is when people start having to pay, $75, $100, $150 a ton for carbon dioxide. So,
yeah, true enough. So, and there seems to be a momentum in terms of adopting your solution. And what I've noticed, if I read your news, is historically we've seen it in underground solutions, but you're starting to see it above ground. And James, is that kind of where you're seeing some of the trend, or where do you see things coming?
We're getting a lot more inquiries on above ground, and it will take one to move. Now, saying that, we have an operation in South America that's all surface already, and I can share this. Currently, I'm in the process of negotiating 2 more contracts with that customer. They want 2 extensions on their existing system. Okay, so I've always had a theory, and I know it's not popular with the miners, but I come from the railroad business. I'm used to really big trains and doing them around the world. That train that we run with Railveyor is no different than the big trains. It actually doesn't care what time of the day it is, where it's at. We haul stuff. Okay. Right. If you ask what are you expert at, taking stuff from A to B. That's it. I'm not a miner. I wouldn't know one piece of ore from another, and I'm partially colorblind, so I really wouldn't know one piece of ore from another. But I know how to haul stuff, and I don't care what the environment is. We'll make it work, and it's capable of working.
Right. And I've heard many mining CEOs say we're more into the transportation business than we are mining. So,
looking at their business model from afar and not being a miner, I don't want this to be insulting. To me, they're a logistics company. They're in the logistics of how to get it from it's on the face, be it surface or underground, up through every one of these processes as quickly and efficiently as possible, and out the back door in whatever the finished product may look like, be it gravel, be it ingots, be it whatever form or shape it is. And all of those steps in between are just sheer logistics. The logistics exercise they have to go through is phenomenal, to be honest about it. So
yeah. So James, as the new appointed CEO, what we can leave maybe with the last words with you. Where do you see the Railveyor coming or going, I should say?
Sure. Well, I think just to build off of what Jim has said, while most of our installations to date, and we have half a dozen of those around the world, are underground, about half of all the deals we're working on today are on the surface. And so what I see for the future is going to be greater adoption of this technology around the world, and even more so on the surface because of the benefits we talk about with reduced water usage and haul road maintenance and those kind of things. And the challenge we'll have is how do we keep up with all of that demand. But this is, as I look at this business, kind of also to build off of what Jim said, it's not just about the technology, it's about how we help our customers solve those problems of moving material from point A to point B. There's a lot of technology involved here with the drive stations, the sensors that look at the cars and the level of load in the car and the programming logic that goes into all of it. And what this company has is all the expertise to bring all of that technology together to answer those problems for a customer. How do you move that material from point A to point B safely, most efficiently, and with the lowest impact on the environment? We have all that technology available and all of that expertise and capability available in this company today. So I see a very bright future for Railveyor.
Excellent. Well, it certainly sounds like it, and it's great to see the traction that you're getting with this solution, and seeing it now being adopted above surface just opens up a whole other group of opportunities for you. So with that, gentlemen, I really appreciate you taking the time to come and share the story with us, and look forward to having you back on sometime in the near future to catch up.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. That's it for this week's episode. I'd like to thank Jim Hawkins and Jim Fisk from Railveyor. And remember, you can follow us on Twitter at Mining Suppliers and LinkedIn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get instant access to all our episodes of the day. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, I'm Ryan McEachern. Take care and stay safe.